Your intake team is probably quoting the same price to every serious criminal defense caller, around $3,500, and most of those callers do not move forward. But here is what the data actually shows. Two callers get the same $3,500 quote. One qualifies at 61%, other qualifies at 11%. Same price, same case, same intake system. The difference is 2 words your intake team either says or does not say right after the quote. These 2 words are payment plan. I analyzed 3,492 criminal defense intake calls for one firm. The pillar video looked at what happens when price enters the conversation. I called this segment the $3,329 wall, and that number holds up. The median quoted fee across every priced call in the dataset was around $3,500. But when I went deeper, I found that price is not what actually kills the call. What kills the call is what your intake team says immediately after the quote. In this video, I'm going to show you what your team is probably saying now, what the data says they should be saying instead, and the exact script change that may be the biggest single lever conversion boost in this entire series. The first finding, price is not the wall. Across the dataset, price calls actually converted higher than non-price calls, not lower. Priced calls qualified at 17.8%, non-price calls qualified at 8.8%. That means the fact that price gets mentioned was not the problem. If anything, quoted a price usually meant the caller was serious enough to hear one. But here is where price starts to hurt. When the caller asked about price first, qualification was 18%. When the receptionist volunteered the price without being asked, qualification dropped to 7%. Same price, same case types in the mix. The only difference is whether the caller wanted to hear the number or whether your intake team volunteered it before the caller was ready. So the pillar advice still holds. Rapport before price. Do not volunteer price early. If the caller has not asked, you do not know if they have heard enough about how you can help to be ready for the number. But that's only one half of the story. The other half is bigger. I sorted the price calls by one more variable: whether or not a payment plan came up in the conversation. Baseline qualification rate on criminal defense calls in this dataset was 11%. When a payment plan entered the conversation in any way, the qualification number jumped to 52%. When the caller asked about a payment plan themselves, it went to 41%. But when the receptionist proactively offered a payment plan alongside the quote, before the caller even asked, qualification hit 61%. That is 5.5 times lift from a single script change. Not a new receptionist, not a new hire, not more ad spend, just one sentence added to the quote. Here's why I think this works. A quoted fee is a hard number. The caller has to either accept it or reject it on the spot. $3,500 is a wall. A payment plan turns the wall into a staircase. It's the same total number, but a completely different psychology. The caller now sees a way that they can say yes. The payment plan also signals something else. It signals that the firm is flexible, that the firm has done this before, that the firm understands that most people can't write a check for $3,500 in the middle of a phone call. So you're not lowering your price, you're lowering the perceived risk of hiring you. And that may be the single biggest intake lever we've found in this entire series. If you've watched the jail cell call and bond videos in this series, you've already seen this pattern. Small operational moves in the first 90 seconds of an intake call reshape the entire outcome. On jail calls, the receptionist mirrored urgency 8.6% times more than other calls. That was the tone change. On bond calls, the small bond fee became the entry point to a much larger defense retainer. That was a structure change. On this call, the criminal defense retainer quote, the intervention is one sentence long. The pattern is the same across all 3 videos. Firms are not always missing big things. They're missing small things that compound at scale. Here's the fix. 2 rules for every quote. Rule number 1, do not volunteer price early. The receptionist should not ask quote a fee before the caller is ready to hear it. If the caller has not asked, slow down. You need to know what happened. What charge are they dealing with? Where's the case? Whether there's a court date or not, whether someone is in custody, whether this is urgent. Because if you just willy-nilly throw out a number before the caller understands the value, all they hear is cost. If the caller opens with, how much does this cost? You can still reroute, say, let me understand the situation first so I can give you an accurate number, or pricing depends on the charge and where the case is. So let me ask you a couple of questions first. So this is not dodging the question, this is protecting the sale. Rule number 2, when you do quote the price, never quote it alone. Every quote gets paired with a payment plan. Example of a bad script is the fee for a DWI is $3,500. A good script is the fee for a DWI is $3,500. Most of our clients start with $1,000 down and split the rest into $500 monthly payments. Same number, completely different psychology on the receiving end. The first version gives the caller a wall. The second gives them a path, and that is the rule. No price without a plan attached. Not here's the fee, but here is the fee and here's how people usually make it work. That one sentence changes the entire moment, because the silence after the price is where the deal dies. Caller here's $3,500, they pause, they feel embarrassed, they don't know if they're supposed to negotiate, they don't know if there's options, they don't want to say they can't afford it, so they say, okay, let me think about it. And now the call is dead. You know that. The payment plan fills that. Silence before it becomes an objection. It answers the question the caller may be too uncomfortable to ask, which is, how am I supposed to pay for this? That is why it works. Now, let me put a number on it. Same calculator format as the weekend cost and bond funnel videos. Let's say your firm quotes a fee to 30 serious criminal defense callers a month. At an 11% baseline qualification rate, that is about 3 qualified opportunities a month. Now, apply the payment plan lift even conservatively. Let's say it's not to 61%. Let's just boost it up to 25%. That's 7.5 qualified opportunities a month, 4.5 more than before. Multiply that lift by your close rate, then multiply that by your average retainer and multiply by 12 months. For most firms I audit, adding payment plan to every quote can unlock between $100,000 and $300,000 in additional potential retained case value per year from 2 sentences of a script change. Your number may be higher or it may be lower. The principle is the same. You do not need more callers to make more money from intake. Sometimes you just need to stop letting good callers die right after the quote. Drop your call volume in the comments and I'll estimate your number, or let me run it against your actual call data. The link is in the description. Here's the one big takeaway. The wall is not the price. The wall is the silence right after the price. And 2 words, payment plan. Turn that silence into a path forward. Here's what I want you to do. Tomorrow, pull the last 20 criminal defense calls in your CRM where a fee was quoted. For each one, note 2 things. 1, did the caller ask about the price first, or did the receptionist volunteer it early? 2, was a payment plan mentioned in the same conversation? It's going to take you about 10 minutes and that's the full audit. If the answer to question 2 is no on most of them, then you may have found one of the most valuable script changes in your intake process. This video is part of my series breaking down 3,492 criminal defense intake calls. If you've not seen the pillar video, watch it next. It gives you all 6 intake leaks in one place. And if you want me to run this kind of audit against your firm's actual call data, the link is in the description. There's no pitch. I just think every criminal defense firm should be doing this at least once a year to unlock more revenue. The pillar video is on screen now. Go check it out now to discover all 6 leaks.